Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, friends and family beyond the binary, good evening and welcome to another Owlet production. Tonight we have a replay of Paradise Tempest going up against Danger Close Red. And once again, I am joined by my friend, Mr. Amintus Major. How you doing tonight, buddy?
Fantastic, Juggle God. It feels so good to be back casting some more Owlet matches. I think now that we finally started to fine-tune the replay casting or broadcasting format, rather, it's going to be a nice, smooth experience for everybody watching. And we have two very great teams that we're going to get to watch today in PT and DCR. So to kind of set the stakes a little bit going into this, we've got Paradise Tempest on one side. They're 5-1 right now across both stages so far. And their two losses, technically speaking, have come from Team Growloo as well as Crusaders. And then they just got the reverse sweep last week against Los Beefers, which is another, up-and-coming team that I think has surprised a lot of people in their performances. Whereas on the other side, we have Danger Close Red, who has, in some people's opinions, had a bit of an easy run of things up to this point, where the schedule wasn't necessarily hard on them in the first stage, and now we're kind of facing the gauntlet of teams that are actually near the top of their standings. So this will be an interesting game for both of these teams. PT needs to kind of prove themselves to be above the rest of the pack here, whereas DCR is looking to separate themselves from the middle of the pack.
Yeah, this is going to be an exciting match. I'm really excited for the implications about DCR because, yeah, this is almost going to be like a bellwether match, right? To let us know, like, okay, where does DCR really belong in terms of like the standings and the rankings? And I'm excited to see what comes because both teams right now are sporting a record with just one loss.
That's very true, but since strength of schedule rather does tend to play a factor in your record, this is, like you mentioned, the moment for them to sort of actually prove to us who is the better team here. And, something else to note about these teams is the fact that we're actually going to be seeing a lot of different swaps today, which is interesting because on the Paradise Tempest side, I feel like they have kind of had a stable roster for a lot of their games. And now that they're starting to mix in some new looks, the first starting six for them is going to be Azukari, Culture, Sixus, Lars, Ira, and then Caffeinated on the main support. So it'll be interesting to see how they slot into the team. Whereas on DCR, we have, I think, one new sub in Frog for Life on the DPS role. So they're looking to make a good start as well. And all of these subs, as well as the teams themselves, need to get a good start here on this first map, which is going to be Ilios.
Yeah, and let's head into it. Ilios is an interesting one because, especially when you look at Well, right? Lots of different compositions can be played there, and not your typical ones as well, right? Like normally, Rush is almost like the default composition, I feel like, in Overwatch. And Rush is not necessarily the best thing to play, and in fact, we are going to Well first.
Right, on Well, I think the giant pit in the center kind of throws a wrench in the works of if you're going to try to play that Rush comp, your Diva would have to be on point, stop any pulls from an Orisa, or even boops from the backline on a Ball or a Lucio. So both of these teams are going to come out with this kind of hybrid dive look. However, on PT side, we have Lars on his signature Pharah, so we need to watch out for him in the skies. Zebra Cookie needs to be on high alert for him.
Yeah, and we already see Lars trying to get in a little damage while Danger Close Red rotates into that cage room right there with that mini health pack. Both teams really just kind of exchanging poke damage at the moment, but we see Culture maybe looking to go in with a slam. Paradroid. Yeah, he does find Paradroid. Look at that, Azukari is able to take out Paradroid, actually, and now things are really going to open up, I think, for Paradise Tempest, but it looks like Danger Close Red actually gets a couple picks, but they're once again equalized by Paradise Tempest. Azukari and Culture both going down very, very low, which is to be expected since, they don't have any healers left on their side of the point. And I believe this is going to go over once the dust settles. Oh no, look at this. Lars is actually able to get a pick onto Mornitron. Frog for Life, very, very low right now. I thought this was going to go the way of Danger Close Red, but Paradise Tempest is making a case for it. Although, look at this. Zebra Cookie now getting a pick onto Caffeinated. Once again, these supports having a hard time staying alive on Paradise Tempest.
This is just a never-ending contest from both teams, and as Culture falls into the pit, it looks like it might finally flip in favor of DCR. They just have to close out these last couple of picks. Azukari does get this primal most likely here, but he will not be able to activate it, so the point will go over to DCR to start this match off.
Yeah, and that was so much time already,
Yeah.
like burned, I would say burned off the clock, but there's no real
Yeah.
clock here. But, look at the ult economy right now. Look at what Paradise Tempest has online versus DCR.
And like you mentioned, the supports of DCR actually died first in the previous engage, so they're going to take a little bit longer to get those ults online, whereas we have Sixes, Azakari, Lars, all rearing to go on this next engage.
Yeah, that we do. And the next engage has already started. Culture is able to take out Frog for life. They paid for it with a little more than half of their life, but they're likely going to be able to get healed up. Oh, and now the barrage comes in from Lars. Zebra Cookie takes him out, but not before he's already done some damage and taken out Paradroid. Oh, and the kills. Look at this. DCR is just crushing it right now, pushing very hard against Paradise Tempest. This Coalescence doing a lot of work, as is Zebra Cookie on that duplicated Winston.
Yeah, sure, PT gets those ults online first, but it's about how you use them and how effective they really are, because if you don't get a lot of value right off the bat, DCR can just kind of stall the fight out and wait for those ults to come online. You see the Pulse Bomb, the Coalescence, ends up closing the fight out, whereas Six's Pulse does not end up getting a lot, and Lars actually swaps over to Sombra here. 65% on the clock now, and if Zebra Cookie sets up a nice copy to stall this fight out, we could see this 100-0 most likely going to DCR.
Yeah, that we could. And Zero Cookie goes in. They get the duplication. They decide to duplicate, I believe, a Diva. Yeah, Ira's gone already. Look at that. The main source of heals is down, but not before they're able to get off that nano boost. Unsure at this point who it went on to, but it is out there and in the ether, as it were. But Paradroid getting a ton of value again on that Lucio. And DCR just seems to have this on a stranglehold right now. 90% capped.
The tanks of PT have to be the ones that make the difference in this next engage, if they even get the chance to. Sixes already has the recall force. They get the overtime contest, and here comes the bomb and Primal. I don't know if it's going to get any value, but we have to see.
No, the bomb doesn't get anything. Culture remeching doesn't find any value either. But Azakari now on this primaling Winston, taking down as much damage as they can from DCR. But Paradroid again coming in big with 2 picks. The EMP catches 3 from DCR, but I don't know if this is going to be enough. Look at this. Caffeinated does get a pick onto Mornitron, but I don't know if that's really going to make much of a difference. As we see
PT members,
this go over to DCR. What a fantastic look from them.
Absolutely. That was a shocking first round, and you can chalk it up to jitters on the side of PT, but nonetheless, that was a dominant start for DCR, and it came off of the back of some really nice ult cycling. I think, the supports dying early in that first fight serendipitously allows them to charge it up in that second engage in the mid-fight. Because, Sixes and Lars, their barrages and the pulse bombs, they don't end up resulting in anything concrete. So at that moment, you're kind of relying on everybody else around PT, and they just kind of drop the ball in that engage. So props to DCR, but as a PT fan, you got to be scratching your head. How did they not manage to win at least a single fight there?
Yeah, that was really unexpected. They have taken a loss already to Crusader, so maybe, something's going on with PT. But we are moving on. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Speaking of a TP rather than a PT right there, we've got now Paradise Tempest set up on point. They've already got the car wash deployed as well. Shield comes out from Xavier.exe. They have to jump out, though, as they took about half their life was taken away, rather. And now, both teams, again, just kind of exchanging chip damage before this point really unlocks. But, yeah, DCR is just going to go ahead and give it over to PT to start things out.
PT's going to get a lot of capture percentage off of this, as well as some healer ult charge. Ira at 70% on that window. If DCR can't set up a good engage with this Coalescence before that comes online, it's not going to bode well for them in the long run.
No, it's really not, and Paradroid is getting very, very close to that Coalescence, so we're going to be seeing that soon, I am sure. Frog for Life trying to do a little bit of a poke damage to the side there, maybe get a cheeky pick, but it doesn't look like anything's going to come of it. And now we've got both support ults online, so here it comes. There is that Coalescence. It's huge, but Lars is actually able to take out Xavier EXE, and Azukari is able to get Mornitron as well. So despite this Coalescence pumping in heals and damage, PT is going to hold on to this point in very convincing fashion.
As well as Paradroid's sound barrier. I think committing both of the support ultimates in a scenario where your main tank is already gone is quite erroneous, because now this capture percentage is not only going to go up to at least 60 on the next engage, you're not going to have any defensive tools to outlast what PT is going to bring to the fight. You have that photon barrier, the sound barrier. So many different ways to open these fights up and ways to close them out.
Yeah, that is very true. Look at this flank from Frog for Life. They're looking, they're thinking, oh, they're taking out the TP. Yeah, that's not a bad idea, but one has to wonder if maybe it wouldn't have done them a little more good to, yeah, take something on. Like Sixes right here, Zebra Cookie and Frog for Life, the DPS duo doing damage to Paradise Tempest. Xavier now with this Primal Rage knocking people all over point. Oh my gosh, are we gonna get the Enviro kill? We do get the Enviro kill. Azukari takes a trip to the ocean right there, right outside of Ilios, and this is looking like it's going to turn the way, although Lars is actually able to turn it around with a pick on the Xavier EXC, but Frog for Life comes in clutch again. Frog for Life really doing a lot of great work on this Tracer right now.
Eventually the point will flip over, but if I'm DCR here, I'm kind of in panic mode because they got 99%. We're basically in one fight territory in the event of a DCR loss. However, if they are able to stall these fights out long enough to get important tools like the copy and the pulse bomb online, maybe even something like a Primal Rage like we saw in the previous fight, you're going to have a lot of kill pressure once PT reaches the objective. So DCR needs to play this out slow enough by stalling and trying to get some of those ults online.
All right, the TP comes out once again from Lars. They're really looking to be a big fan of it right now. Haven't really seen them use the Symmetra this heavily, I don't think, in past games. So that's a very interesting look. There comes the amplification matrix from Ira, as well as the immortality, but it's not going to be enough to keep him alive. Look at this, we've got trades on point. Frog for Life goes down, Sixes goes down, and it is a 3v3, and it's going to be a brutal one. So we see Azukari just has barely any health left. They go down. Zebra Cookie coming in clutch. That is just fantastic play from this Echo.
That was unbelievable. It was down to the wire, 3v2 scenario there, and Zebra Cookie tag teaming with Paradroid to clutch this out. I've talked a lot about the backline of DCR and how they are instrumental in the success of this team. You see it right there, perfect example. Paradroid manages to stall it out and allows Zebra Cookie to come back in to flip that fight in their favor, and now we're really in one fight territory. Because if PT can't end this fast enough, DCR will win this match.
Yeah, that they will. And here we go. Sixes immediately takes that Paradote. That might be it right there. This might signal the beginning of the end. But look at this. Oh my gosh, DCR coming in huge. Oh, 3 members of them just immediately delete. 3 of the members of Paradise Tempest. Xavier EXE is eventually taken out by Lars. Maybe this is going to go in the favor of Paradise Tempest, as now it is certainly swung in that direction. Can DCR get close enough to touch? I'm not sure if they can. They've got Paradote there, who's probably going to be able to fade onto point. But after that, I don't know what else you've got left in the tank.
Zebra Cookie does drop the duplicate to get this Diva. If they can get this bomb online, tag team with Xavier, force people off the objective, maybe there's a chance, but they're all hiding really well.
Yeah, they hid behind Azukari's shield there very, very well. Azukari able to take out Paradroid. Xavier EXE goes down as well. So now there's a tank and heals missing from DCR. And this is going to go the way of Paradise Tempest.
It did look like there was trouble in Paradise there for just a few moments on that recontest when the Diva comes back in and gets the mech kill on the Moira, and you're kind of quaking in your boots, but nice aggressive play from Xavier to kind of turn that around in their favor. And I think that's, or rather Azukari, excuse me.
Azukari, yeah.
PT is actually kind of changing their playstyle and adapting throughout the course of this map depending on the composition they're facing, and that is the perfect hallmark of a talented team in my opinion. If you're able to sort of recognize the fact that, hey, this strategy, it's not really working right now, we need to change something. PT was able to recognize the fact that Zebra Cookie was doing so much work, and then all they really have to do to disable him from doing that properly is start to aggressively take it towards the backliners like Paradote, Paradroid, and Mortartron as well has been struggling a lot to get this fight started, so we have to watch the performance of the tank line of DCR on this next map and see if they can start opening things up for their team a little more effectively.
Alright, that tank line has now just made it to point. There's kind of a little posturing going on, some chip damage being exchanged right near this statue.
Oh no.
Oh, but my gosh, Xavier EXE goes down very, very quickly. Lars getting that final blow, and now Azukari is just free to reign as well. Takes out Paradroid, and that is a convincing fight win from Paradise Tempest.
ET, they just walk into you with shotguns and SMGs, man. There is nothing you can do about that if you're Xavier. Just totally catches them off guard. And I think that's a bit of the fault of DCR here. They are not preempting a lot of these fights and scouting them properly. They're getting surprised when in reality, it should be an even footing for both of these teams. And on this next engage, after the swap to Sombra to match Lars from Frog for Life, they're at a huge ult deficit. And if PT can start to build some of these in the mid-fight, it should be an easy fight win for them.
Yeah, that it should. Xavier, especially if Xavier EXE is removed from the fight, which happens immediately. Hack comes in too, onto Mornitron. Mornitron
EMP?
is demacked as well. Peridot is able to pick up a pick onto Sixes though, so that could spell trouble for PT as they start to back away and give DCR a little bit of room.
Six is going down late in that engagement, so it's a 5v5 right now, and Zebra Cookie is approaching this copy, likely going to use it to engage. They go onto the Lucio.
Oh, I'm pretty sure they meant to hit the Diva right there. The EMP comes in and it catches 3 as well from Lars. The beat is popped to try and keep the members of DCR up as long as they can, but Culture is able to get a bomb and then a remake kill. One takes out one support, the other takes out the next. And that is a wonderful fight win on the back right there of Culture.
Culture and Lars tag teaming together with those ultimates. Very powerful. On this next engage, we're going to probably see a similar scenario as Frog for Life goes down lane. Yeah, that's another 10 seconds off the clock. More ult charge for Lars and less for Frog for Life. This guy is probably not even going to get EMP online in this next engage if PT goes quickly enough. I mean, they have the tools necessary. It's really about shutting out Peridot and Paradroid before they can press Q.
Yeah, that is certainly what they need to be looking for. Mornitron over here on the side. They've almost got their self-destruct as well. Oh, wow. Yeah, Sixes is taken out early, though, from Zebra Cookie. Now we've got the Diva Bomb coming out. Azukari probably trying to escape from that. The picks are even right now on point. We've got a 4v4 situation happening right now as Azukari jumps in, trying to once again put a lot of pressure onto that back line of DCR. But Zebra Cookie is there to kind of push him away and stop some of that aggression, and DCR is actually going to take this point for the first time on this round.
It looks like a little bit of deja vu here, just like last round. We've got a 99% scenario for PT, so they are technically in White Fun territory once again. Now it's about these two Sombras and how they're going to set up their EMPs. Between Frog for Life and Lars, it's going to be easier for Frog here because he can just walk in and sort of start the engage at his leisure. Lars is going to have a much more difficult time getting past the scouting, but they're set up and they're going to go first.
Oh, wow, yeah. They hit it early and is able to catch 4 members, but Paradroid is actually able to get the beat out before
Wait a minute.
that EMP hits.
Oh, no.
And look at this. Sixes is able to get 2 very quickly, one right after the other, and that is a hole in the side of DCR that desperately needs to get plugged, but I don't think it's going to happen, as it looks like Paradise Tempest behind, again, a coalescence from Ira this time, is going to eventually take this point once all these trickles come in.
Absolutely right. There's probably no chance if you're DCR. Obviously, you're going to try, but it is a desperate attempt that will not result in anything. And Paradise Tempest, after a bit of a rocky start on that first map, they found their footing, I think in particular, with a composition that really played to their strengths. They spotted that Sombra. The Sombra in particular made such a big difference for PT in a lot of those engages, not just because of the value of the EMP, of course, but just the raw value that you can get from that hero by playing quickly enough, as well as individual hacks. Made the difference in a lot of those engages. I think Paradroid in particular, as well as Peridot, were both really struggling to hide from the Sombra in some of those fights. And while, yes, you do manage in that last engage that we just saw to get the beat out in time right after that EMP goes, you still lose your Winston in that engage. And that's just kind of a sign of a little bit of unpreparedness, it feels like, from DCR. Maybe they're not going into these fights with the same level mindset that PT is. They seem to have the presence of mind to know when to use these ultimates.
Yeah, that's a really, really good point. And you know, I think that was really highlighted on the first map too, just like knowing when to use, or sorry, the second map, knowing when to use those ultimates, right? And I also want to bring it back to, you know, the adjustments that PT made. I mean, DCR came out and 100 to 0 them on well. Like, that's incredible, you know?
Exactly.
And that was such a great look from DCR too. But PT, like you said, just able to make those adjustments on the fly and in one map, no less. You know, and I think it was interesting too, as we saw kind of like the weight of the match shift from DCR over to PT, you know, during each of those 3 rounds. Like the first one, DCR all the way. Second one could have gone either way, actually. And then the third, I think that was handily in Paradise Tempest's favor.
Absolutely. Momentum plays such a big factor in the mental state of the players in Overwatch competitive matches. And I think it's something important to note where a team that can adjust can shift momentum, whereas a team that's kind of static in their strategy tends to lag behind and fails to sort of adapt over the course of the map, which is exactly what we saw from Paradise Tempest. And, you know, having that momentum going into the rest of the series, especially after the first map, it's a great look for them. And as we look towards the future, we're actually going to
Mm-hmm.
be heading to a bit of a different look for both of these teams. We're going to watch Point Gibraltar. And if you and
Yeah.
I both have the same opinion on this, I'm pretty sure we're going to see some double bubble.
Yes, absolutely. I think it's very, very likely that that is what we are going to be looking at right now. Gibraltar, it heavily favors that double bubble or just straight dive composition.
Exactly. And it's about, the adjustments that you can make within these metas as well. Because I think, people fall into this trap that, oh, double bubble, you just have to bubble your Winston, you play it slow for nano. There's still room to subvert these expectations and take people by surprise. I mean, you already see, rather than a traditional tracer who would normally go contest the cart while the defending team is pushing underneath you, you have the McCree Echo combo on defense here for DCR. And if you can pocket Zebra Cookie properly like they did previously on the first map of Ilios, it could bode very well for them. Having that copy online to stall for the end of this first point, it's a disaster for a lot of those recontests on attacking teams. And you see a mirror, actually. Sixtus and Ira will be matching Zebra Cookie and Paradoid here. So now the tanks are going to meet on this little bridge, try to exchange some chip damage, but Paradoid does go very low to Lars, will get healed up in time, but it's just mainly exchanging damage in here, right here.
Yeah, and control of this high ground is so crucial on Gibraltar. So it's no wonder that we're seeing, wow, such a brutal battle for it as Akari goes down. But Sixus picks up 2 very quickly with those sticky bombs. And now Culture trying to get the rest of DCR down. We saw Paradroid get very, very low there on that Mercy. And oh, look at that sleep. Plus the nade from Caffeinated to take out Frog for Life. Frog for Life may need to rename himself Frog for Dead after that battle right there. But I saw PT pushing it hard.
I saw Azukari get stuck on the corner of that box, and I'm like, okay, 5v6, easy engage. And then Sixus just comes in with the fishing bomb of getting the 2k with the sticky mines, and he's going to be approaching that copy Culture with this bomb as well in the next engage. DCR trying to find Caffeinated. Ira's nowhere to be found. They do eventually make it.
Yeah, Frog for Life so close to taking out Caffeinated right there, but they just weren't able to get it done. Zebra Cookie, though, is able to take out Lars, and now, oh my gosh, despite this fight going the way of DCR, the point is still capped for PT.
And the Valk, too? There's so much going on in this last engage here. It feels like teams forgot about the objective. Both of them did, as they both cap, but are still committing ultimates at their spawn. Zebra Cookie will get a lot of exit charge on this next engage, but yeah, we have to look at the tanks for DCR there. You got to stand on the objective, guys. Come on.
yeah. Someone wonders, who didn't get the memo there. Unfortunate for them, but at least they do have a solid hold now, or at least a solid defensive positioning leading into this next fight. Oh my gosh, Lars goes down to 5 health right there. Very lucky he was still in that game, or else Ire would have had to burn that res.
And if you look in the top left of your screen right now, you're going to see a lot of yellow check marks. And I fully expect Saucer, Zebra Cookie, Peridot to all start pressing Q at some point here. Azukari struggling just to reach the high ground of the enemy team. And DCR is putting up a good fight here. The cart has yet to cross the threshold of that doorway. So taking fights in the spawn might actually work well for DCR.
And it looks like it has so far. As Zebra Cookie was able to do a lot of work on that duplicated Diva, getting a bomb, which I don't think necessarily got the kills, but they were able to get the follow-up afterwards. And yeah, what a nice hold from DCR, and they did it very efficiently too. Only 2 ultimates committed.
Absolutely. You look at Saucer and Frog for Life, they're thanking their lucky stars they didn't have to use their ultimates, because now you have a really consistent fight-ending combination. If you can stack Saucer's Graviton Surge with Frog for Life's Pulse Bomb, maybe get it onto one of these vulnerable tanks, or even this copy from Sixes, it's going to be explosive.
Oh boy, but that Pulse Bomb takes out Caffeinated. Caffeinated gonna have to get a little more coffee before they come back in. And we see now Zebra Cookie with that focusing beam is able to take out Lars. The res comes in onto Caffeinated. They're able to get them back into the game. But still, this looks rough for PT as, DCR is just able to continue this vice grip of a hold they've got on second point.
This map is just notorious for, if the defending team can get a good defensive position set up on the second point here, it is almost impossible to break through without 6 ultimates just dropping all in at once. And, the way the PT are playing right now, they go for the full comp swap, sort of this counter dive, double shotgun, maybe even triple if you count Diva. And, DCR can still play around this. They don't have to necessarily engage. All they really have to do is drop the nano onto one target and start to chip them down.
Oh, but Xavier EXE goes down very quickly. We've got Paradroid trying to get that res off. They're just barely able to with that Valk. And once again, the kills just coming in for DCR, although now their tank line is down. Look at the Zebra Cookie with that duplication once again onto the D.Va. Seems to be their favorite pick right now, and they are getting a lot of work done with it, as now Culture goes down very, very low, and in fact, they're demeched as well. But Lars and Azukari get a couple of picks onto Paradroid, one onto Frog for Life as well, and they are actually going to pick up the cart and start to get this moving.
Oh, it's a bit of a misplay from DCR. It feels like, the composition that PT selects here, they want you to dive, and they gave him exactly what they desired. But now on this engage, the Graviton's going to come in, and Frog for Life finds the pulse bomb.
Oh my gosh, the hat trick Frog for Life. Yeah, maybe we'll name those 3 players Frog for Dead after that pulse. That was fantastic work. Oh, Lars takes a little bit of a nap. They're going to get burst down very quickly, and DCR continues to hold on second point.
Now it's about Peridot, Saucer, and I'd say Zebra Cookie plus Paradroid to try to get this defensive setup back in their favor because, they want to get on top of this plane. It's interesting that they're playing inside of it. This is still a pretty pushable position if you're Culture or Lars. You can go up there and start to actually contest them physically. I would have liked to see them get on top of that plane as it's a little bit safer, but still nonetheless, they're pretty, secure in this position. Lars teleporting to this high ground, gonna look to set up this Death Blossom on a vulnerable backliner.
Yeah, and now that shield is out, this is probably the time. There it goes. He gets 2 immediately, and Caffeinated and Azukari pick up the rest as Sixus on that Torb finds another. And despite this primaling Xavier.exe, it's not going to be enough, and Paradise Tempest is going to push into third point.
I think PT just ended that task right there. We get a last-minute contest from Frog for Life, but it's not going to result in anything. It actually causes a lot of forward spawns for DCR. All 6 of them are now alive, which might not be the best decision, especially if you consider the fact that Lars just burnt that Death Blossom. He's trying to recharge a lot of those ultimates. Ira and Caffeinated will get theirs as well, whereas on the other side, DCR already has support ultimates. They are going to take a lot of damage, and it's going to be for naught. They already have ults. So Culture looking to set up this bomb in this next engage. This pull on a shield Zarya might actually result in a kill.
Yeah, that's a very good point too. Culture biding their time still, waiting for the perfect opportunity to launch the self-destruct. But we've got the Molten Core now on point, trying to protect PT from the aggressive push from Xavier.exe. Paradroid is actually able to get the res off, though, so now it's back to a full fight. Did I just, oh my gosh, I thought I heard an ult come in from Lars, but no, that's just somewhere else. The Coalescence now online as well for Caffeinated. Paradroid down, that is big, that's no good, especially Peridot too. Now there's no healing left for Danger Close Red, and they're just gonna get burst, but look at this Frog for Life again with the huge pulse bomb. But just not enough to save the day for DCR as we see Paradroid getting ready for that last moment contest. They did. Oh my gosh, Frog for Life did, but they fall down. And now Sixus has just got this thing on lockdown, and Paradise Tempest behind that Coalescence as well is going to be able to just continue to push all of these members of DCR away, and that's going to be 43 seconds on the clock for Paradise Tempest.
I mean, I hate to be a narrative pusher here, but this is a perfect example of both teams being able to adjust again, or rather Paradise Tempest, whereas DCR maintains the same strategy and fails to pick up on the difference in play here. PT switches to a full counter-dive composition, and you don't see any swaps in heroes on the side of DCR. They think that, oh, we have ultimates. We can just press Q and try to win these fights, and no, that's not how this is gonna work, guys. PT has got your strategy on lock.
Yeah, that they do. And, even when DCR finally does decide to make swaps or composition changes, PT is there to adapt just as quickly, again. And they're just keeping DCR on their back foot right now. That's what it feels like to me.
And once again, we're going to see another adaptation from them. Lars going back over to the Sombra that we saw at the tail end of Ilios, and if the past performance was anything to go off of, this guy could dominate the map. I feel like his EMPs are consistently catching multiple members that actually end up resulting in kills, whereas, we saw in Ilios when DCR was running a Sombra dive composition, a lot of those EMPs didn't really result in any concrete advantages being built for the team. So PT, they recognize that. They're like, okay, we're going to force this Sombra here on defense, start to cycle ultimates. I don't think they're going to play for too big of a first point hold here. Maybe they can on a recontest with an EMP or a high noon, just to make some space for them. But on the other side, we have DCR. You actually have Frog for Life going for a little bit of a cheeky TP play.
Ooh, yeah, let's see where they go. Are they going to take everybody over to that to try and...
Oh my god.
Paradroid deleted immediately, but Xavier EXE is able to take out Lars, and that's a pretty big boon for for DCR. Zebra Cookie is very, very low though on cart. They're gonna have to get some of that heals just from the cart getting pushed. Ooh, Xavier EXE down though. To Culture, and now PT has pretty convincing hold of this high ground, which is going to be hard for DCR to crack.
You know, between losing your DPS and losing your supports, I'm going to take losing your DPS pretty much every day of the week. And right there you see why.
Yeah.
PT, they're able to stabilize with the heals, whereas DCR struggles to recontest, but they do manage to get an opening pick onto Azakari. Is this going to be enough to get the cart far enough? Because Xavier is very low.
Yeah, Xavier does go down very low. They're healed a little bit, but Zebra Cookie is the one who is on the edge of death right there. Xavier EXE does eventually go down to 6s, though. 6s with that 6-shooter doing work. And, yeah, PT still has just a vice grip on this high ground, although now 6s is forced to roll away from those sticky bombs from Zebra Cookie.
Xavier EXE trying to find an opening here by forcing out the McCree, like you mentioned. Taking full control of this high ground is going to enable PT, or rather DCR, to start walking around wherever they please, and they're going straight into the 6s. He's taking very low, but here comes the EMP!
Oh yeah, the EMP, it only catches 2, but they go down, and it's going to be enough to really open those floodgates for Paradise Tempest and roll all over Danger Close Red.
And this is so good for PT because now you get to retake control of the blue boxes on this high ground, set up your supports once again, and then you can start to really play around your ultimates here. 6s is high and noon in particular is going to make it so hard for Xavier and Saucer to push this high ground, as well as the backline of Peridot and Paradroid to rotate around, so watch out for 6s in this next engage.
Yeah, we will certainly be keeping our eye on him for that Deadeye to come out. Zebra Cookie just taking down that shield from Azukari, and oh my gosh, Frog for Life, very, very low. They have to recall and then blink out using every single one of their cooldowns. They are lucky to be alive. Deadeye comes out from 6, and he gets Frog for Life. Frog for Life goes down, but now we've got Primaling Xavier EXE in the backline of Paradise Tempest, but he's just not getting as much done as 6s is in the backline of DCR as we see Peridot go down, but not before they get off that nano boost. Zebra Cookie, again with these sticky bombs. Oh my gosh, but the nano goes on to Brig. That is a terrifying thing to see. That rocket flail gets a boost from that nano, tremendously adding to the damage and to the sustain that character can put out. Although they eventually go down to Xavier EXE, and there's only a minute left on the clock right now for DCR to try and push this through to second point, and I don't think they've quite got the numbers to do it.
I mean, the recontest is 100% guaranteed to come in here. Lars trying to open this up with an EMP, but he might not even need it. He pops it now. Paradroid gets the rally out in time, though.
Oh, yeah, that was clutch from Paradroid, but
enough.
6s and Caffeinated still doing work. The Lars trying to find another hack on point, and with 44 seconds left, DCR is deciding to go back and try again, especially after Saucer gets demeched.
That is so rough if you're DCR, because now you have to try to play aggressive enough to remake. He will try to get up quickly. He's at 45% right about now, but Zebra Cookie is dead again. This guy has been having such a struggle in these fights, dealing with 6s on this McCree. This high noon man is just not missing any shots.
No, he is not. He knows his ins and outs of McCree. He's got that character, dialed in right now, especially against DCR. We see the contest come in above on the high ground, but is anyone actually going to be close enough to point to touch? Peridot's leading the charge on the Ana. There has to be almost some kind of miscommunication there for that to have happened.
Wait a minute.
Yeah, look at this. The Saucer is able to pick out 6s, but Ira equalizes with a pick on the Zebra Cookie. Peridot goes down dangerously, though, and eventually is taken out. Now the bomb from Culture clearing the point away for Paradise Tempest to allow them to get better positioning, but Azukari is able to find Frog for Life as well, winning out that duel, which is unusual to see. Ooh. There's the EMP as well, and Xavier goes down, Saucer is demeched, and that is gonna be it. Paradise Tempest goes up 2-0.
Well, we talked at the start of the match about this is, needs to be a statement game from both of these teams to separate themselves from their past. And right now, Paradise Tempest is, they are in paradise once again. After a dominant push like that on attack to cap with extra time and a first point hold to boot, that is just, it's gotta hurt if you're DCR.
Yeah, that is a canyon that the gap between them and that was it was the size of a canyon, right?
Yep.
The play was just on another level from Paradise Tempest right there, and I don't know what DCR is going to do to try and come back from this. I mean, we know how dominant Paradise Tempest has been in the past, and it looks like they're continuing to show that dominance right now. I thought at first maybe they were regretting some of their stage, team choices after that first round on Ilios, but no, Paradise Tempest really looks to have this safely on their side right now.
And I think it's off of the back of Lars' Sombra in particular. This guy, like I mentioned, in between the attacking and defending rounds, he has just been lights out on this character. Even in the individual fights where he doesn't necessarily hard carry, he is still contributing so much with those individual hacks, like I mentioned. In overtime when he got that one on the Reaper, preventing the Death Blossom from coming out or potentially coming online. Just such good heads-up play, it feels like, from Lars. And we know what this guy is capable of on Pharah. Seeing this on Sombra as well is so good to watch. I think having a flex DPS that actually has a really deep hero pool like Lars here, it bodes really well, especially when you pair it with a dominant hit scan player like Sixus.
Yeah, that is such a good point. And we've even seen Lars come out today on the Symmetra as well. It maybe didn't get quite as much value as some of his other picks, but he's got that in his pocket as well. And that's not insignificant.
I think Symmetra, especially in the Overwatch League nowadays, has gained increased popularity on the control map type because a lot of these, singular points that every single engage takes place at close range just suits Symmetra so well with that, the photon beam, being able to charge it up and ensure that basically every single fight will take place at Symmetra's effective range. Shows the strength of that hero, and while it didn't end up working out for Paradise Tempest, having that in the bag of Lars and his hero pool will be extremely useful in upcoming matches for sure.
Yeah, that is very true. And maybe even in this upcoming map, as we are about to head to King's Row for what could be the final one that we see tonight.
And you're going to see a lot of new faces in for DCR here. Danger Close Red swaps in 3 new players. Halician for Xavier EXE, Mornatron is back in for Saucer, and Final Gambit, who we've typically seen playing the DPS role previously, is in for Frog for Life. So this feels to me, it's more like the starting squad for DCR. Maybe Xavier EXE has been subbed out, most likely for the Reinhardt play. That's going to likely happen on this map here for King's Row. This is basically Brawl City here, and maybe, it's... Halician. Is that how you pronounce his name? Very interesting name for sure, but we can already see he's starting on this Reinhardt here. Whatever the case is, I love it, but there's a lot of other interesting things going on, compositionally speaking, as well. We've got the Junkrat from Final Gambit, who in the past we've actually seen dominate on this hero. I remember casting one of the very first matches at Stage 1 and being very impressed with his Junkrat play, so if he's able to sort of pick it up again and really start to put his name in the kill feed frequently, it might bode well for DCR in this current match.
Yeah, it really could. Those Riptires can do... They can swing a fight instantaneously. Look at that. Wall comes out already. Isolates Azukari momentarily, but they're able to get out. Hailshan, though, goes down very low. Immortality Field is forced out from Peridot, and now members of Danger Close Red are kind of having to back off and give a little bit of space on point, especially considering that they've got that May wall up right now. Ira finds a pick onto Hailshan, though, and Peridot falls very, very quickly after that. So DCR getting a great start on this first capture for King's Row.
Not enough poke coming in from the DPS of DCR to actually result in anything meaningful. They get the Bob back on point, trying to go for this recontest to buy a little bit more time for this tire from Final Gambit, but they have the defensive tools to stay alive on this objective. It's not going to result in anything, and that Bob will go to waste as the first point goes over to PT.
Yeah, and it goes over very, very quickly. But look, here we go. Final Gambit with this Riptire. Can it find anybody? He's up in the high ground right now, biding his time. Maybe trying to wait out an Immortality Field. Who knows? But Sixus finds him with an Icicle from that Endothermic Blaster.
Yeah, the Jaws theme will not complete today. They drop the Amp Matrix from Ira, trying to keep Azukari up on this front line, but DCR just kites it out. Paradroid pops the Valkyrie, and they accept that you commit that ultimate. We're going to hold this corner instead. Peridot trying to get their own window online on this next corner, and there's all of these ults coming online for both teams. This is going to be an explosive next engage.
Yeah, it certainly is, especially because we see both DPS coming online with their ults from Paradise Tempest, so this could just be brutal if you are a member of DCR. Bomb comes in, doesn't catch anybody, but the remech does! The remech catches out Sixes. Final Gambit takes out Lars, and now there's no more DPS to help out Paradise Tempest as DCR pushes them back where they came from.
And crucially, Mornitron's remech prevents Sixes from getting the Blizzard out. And now he swaps over to the Hanzo. Bit of a longer range look, which, you know, you might initially look at this composition from PT and say, I don't really understand where this fits, but it adds a little bit more depth where they need it, a little bit more direct firepower as he's trying to find Peridot. They get the Sonic Arrow out, force out the Baptiste. This should allow PT to walk in. Oh, that Shatter!
Whoa! And so does a Shatter, especially when it hits 4 people. Azukari briefly trapped, but it's not gonna matter as they just wipe the floor with what's left of Danger Close Red.
Danger Close Red was like, oh no, Sixes on the Hanzo, we gotta watch out. But nope, Azukari just right around the corner, bunny hops around and shows you why you gotta pay attention to it. And this last stagger from Peridot is going to be a lot of extra card progress here for PT, and now they'll be able to poke as DCR comes in for this recontest and get a lot of these DPS and tank ults back online, namely Sixes' Dragon Strike. Culture and Sixes, both of these ults, is going to make it extremely difficult for the tanks to contest this next fight on the objective. So Final Gambit's Tire has to find some immediate value, and if it doesn't, it's almost going to be impossible. I don't even know if they can touch.
Yeah, this is their final chance, even that. Oh my gosh, Paradroid is taken out immediately though by Sixes. There's the, they got the point. There's the bomb, still doesn't get anybody. He blows it up, but it's negated by that immortality field. Sixes now with this Dragon Strike online. I don't know if they even needed those. Look at that shot on the Peridot. What fantastic aim from Sixes right now. Just unstoppable.
It is a shooting range for Sixes. He is just sitting down range and firing those arrows. No shield from Hailchon on that engage. And now they have ults online. Culture's going to get back in mech. It's going to come down to if the Reinhardt of DCR can set up the Shatter properly to buy time for Peridot's window. But Sixes has the Dragon Strike, so how is he going to set this up?
Yeah, that is a good question. It's up to him and him alone. There's the Dragon Strike. Hailchon goes down very low. They get the Shatter out. They catch 2, but they're immediately burst down by Lars. Immortality field out and gone just about as quickly as it got there. Lars is able to take out Zebra Cookie as well. Mornitron going down very, very low. On card, Peridot pops that amplification matrix, but Paradise Tempest can actually almost completely just tank this given how many people are on point. They do eventually back off, but Mornitron goes down to Sixes, and this fight is just incredible.
Oh my god. They drop every single ultimate in the book and just run it down into DCR. This Tire from Final Gambit has to come up huge, but the Lamb from Ira will prevent any further damage. The Blonde from Zebra Cookie is good though. This is great stall from DCR.
Whoa! Yeah, this is fantastic. DCR looks like they might take this back in their hand. It's so close, but Sixes and Lars just doing tremendous work on point, but it's not going to be enough, and DCR holds at the final moment possible.
If you're a Junkrat player, it is a good day to see your passive getting a kill in that kill feed. It's very rare to see that actually doing anything. Final Gambit getting full use out of Junkrat's kit there. Now in this next engage, we see PT swapping over to this double shield composition with Lars likely swapping to something like the Ashe, a little bit more extra long-range damage to layer on top of this Hanzo, who has been doing a lot of work. Final Gambit just gets his head taken clean off.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that headshot from Sixes, just tremendous. Final Gambit went and visited his final destination after that. Lars caffeinated, doing a lot of work and making more, poking more holes in the DCR lineup right now, despite that sound barrier from Paradroid, who is eventually taken down as well. And now, you know, they the only thing really DCR has to hold on to is the fact that they've got the better spawn advantage. That's all I think they can really hang their hopes on at this point, is just stalling this out.
The boot comes out, but a little bit too late. Too little too late there for DCR. And like I said, it is the same scenario once again. I don't know if it's Groundhog's Day today or something, but DCR just fails to swap their composition in response to what PT throws at them. The playstyle needs to start changing in the middle of these fights or before these fights actually start, because every single time PT changes the look, DCR is left clueless, and they don't know how to solve the problems that PT are throwing at them right now.
Yeah, it feels like they just just tied DCR shoes together every time, right?
Like
Like somebody sneaks in the back line and they just trip on themselves. You know, like it's just it feels insurmountable. I mean, I hope that's not the case. I hope we see, you know, something coming forward from DCR to give them some hope. But right now they're on, you know, they're on their last feet right here.
That's the best way I could possibly describe it. They are quite literally on their last leg, and things look very dire for them. There's 2 minutes left on the clock for PT, so worst case scenario, they're going to get another chance to push it back if DCR full caps. And Caffeinated, don't touch the spawn door, buddy. What are you going for here?
This?
Oh, man. Please go back to your team. Thank you. So PT,
Growloo,
up back to...
is that you again?
Oh, my God. Growloo. He's somehow snuck his way into this game. But we're going to see a new look from both of these teams, actually. I think I like the Sigma pick from Warnatron here. Final Gambit staying on that Junkrat's totally fine. But PT actually goes back to that traditional Brawl composition. No Mei this time. Lars is back on the Reaper, who he has done a lot of work, but no Diva on the field means no Matrix to deal with him either.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's going to be deadly. I mean, Marnatron does have that kinetic grasp, but Sixes already has the pick onto Zebra Cookie. So, you know, DCR, they're just going to have to hold steady, I think, here. Well, they're still trying to gain some positioning, it looks like, while they wait for Zebra Cookie to respawn. Who has swapped over to Mei?
Oh, the re-intest comes in. Azakari pins directly into Marnatron and takes him off the map immediately.
Yeah, he goes down fast and is quickly followed by Hailshun. Looks like maybe the full reset was possibly in order there from the side of DCR.
Now, if you take a look at the ultimates, Ira has the Ant Matrix online. We've seen this song and dance before. The front line is going to be nigh unkillable until somebody on DCR gets an ultimate to respond. Likely Final Gambit's Junkrat tire, but still, there's so many other things you have to worry about with PT. The tanks, the DPS, the supports, all of them have been playing so well this match.
Oh, yeah, look at this. There's Ira in the back line. No, that was Lars in the back line. That makes a lot more sense, but Final Gambit gets an excellent pick on them. Sixes and Azukari, though, doing tremendous work, and DCR just crumbles. They just crumble like a house of cards.
Or like an undercooked cake, Azakari, just baking it for him as he gets the 5-man shatter on the tail end of that fight. And now, you know, we're going to see ult cycling once again, but PT has to be a little bit careful here. They don't have as much immediate firepower. The beat's not online just yet to deal with Final Gambit's tire, which is likely going to come out right about now. You have to get this lamp out if you're Ira.
Yes, you do, but you gotta wait until the right time because you don't want it disappearing too soon. The pick, it does get Azukari, but Culture more than equalizes with the deeper bomb. Zebra Cookie is taken out. Culture saying, I will take your zebra cake and eat it too right there. As now they're chasing down Final Gambit as well, and he gets off his final words before he stepped back to spawn. But oh my gosh, look at this stagger.
Do not do this to him. Please, give him the chance. Let him at least remax. No. 5v6 on this engage. Yeah, DCR, that's more time off the clock. And oh man, this is just terrible for DCR because now, the more time you lose here, the more insignificant your time bank becomes compared to what PT already have. I mean, they've got 2 minutes on the clock still, and you've barely got 2.5, or 1.5 rather, and you still haven't capped first yet.
Yeah, but they do have the ultimates to maybe make something happen here as we see them initiate with the Coalescence. Blizzard comes out as well from Zebra Cookie that catches Azukari, but the Immortality Field is up. Is it going to be enough to keep him alive?
There we go.
No, it's not! And now DCR is getting something going here as we see Hailshun just barely missed that charge onto Culture, but it's not going to matter, and neither is Sixes being in the backline.
You know, I'm trying to think of a pun with dangerously close to red, but there's no red colors in this game. It's just pink for PT. Nonetheless, the time banks are in the red for DCR here, like I mentioned earlier. They've put up a great fight, though, and now that they have a little bit of control in this map, if Warnatron can properly scout out this next engage, see where Sixes and the rest of PT are coming from, they can start to stop these ultimates from getting any value. Nice Matrix here from Warnatron, but the rest of his team is in the death alley right now, trying to hide from this window.
Yeah, look at that. They're very, very split right now. Hailshun all on his own over there, practically. Lars chunking in damage with those Hellfire shotguns. Sixes has the Deadeye online as well. The tire. What? What was Final Gambit got 5? That is the biggest tire I think I've seen this season so far in Owlet. Tremendous play from Final Gambit right there. Wow.
Yeah, I'm going to let that one sit in silence for a minute. And a moment of silence for everybody on PT as well, because now you have to swap your whole comp after a play like that. This is momentum firmly in favor of DCR, and they're going to likely get a lot of distance on this second point push here. They need a lot more people on the cart to get max distance out of it. They only have one on right now, but those are still in their favor too because of the full comp swap from PT. Hailshin's Shatter should get a lot of value once the shields go down.
Oh, yeah.
There it is!
There it is. Huge! Absolutely huge. The wall comes out from Zebra Cookie to stymie some of the bleeding, but there's just so much still on the floor. As Yukari goes down, Lars goes down, Caffeinated goes down, though, and it's actually DCR who is going to come up big once again and cap and head on into third point.
This is the first time that an adjustment from PT, compositionally speaking, has not actually worked out for them. You know, they swap off of all of the heroes in the Brawl composition, lose all the potential ultimates besides Iris' Amp Matrix, and you know, DCR just blow up in their face with pressing Q, and it's very easy for them. And it should continue to be that way. They have momentum firmly in their favor, like I mentioned. All they have to do is force out Sixes and Lars on the off angle, deal with this Amp Matrix, and here comes the Blizzard.
Yeah, the Amp Matrix is out, so is the Immortality Field. But look at this! Final Gambit and Zebra Cookie able to take out 2 members immediately from Paradise Tempest, but this is actually a 3v3 on point. Mornitron, though, is DMX, so that is not good for DCR. And eventually, this is going to go over the way of Paradise Tempest.
Oh, danger close, Red. That hurts. Paradroid dying mid-beat animation. You don't have survivability. The Coalescence eventually expires, and now you're back to square one here on this retake attempt. I think this composition struggles to retake until it starts to get ultimates online, which, good news for DCR. They got some ultimates to use here. The Tire, the Shatter, but can they get through Six's Dragon Strike?
Oh, here it comes, and it looks like everybody is still alive, at least for the moment. The Shatter comes in, doesn't catch anybody, doesn't look like Hailshon down very, very low. They eventually taken out. Caffeinated and Six is doing a lot of work there. The Freeze as well, causing Culture some problem, but it's not enough as Paradise Tempest is able to take control once again.
And if you look at the suite of ults for PT here, they have so many different ways to stall out the objective. You know, maybe something goes wrong in the middle of the fight. You got the Bob from Lars to prevent the cart from going any further. The Trank from Caffeinated in case if an aggressive ultimate comes through that doesn't get shot down like the Tire. So just so many different ways to play this fight out, burn a lot of time off the clock, which should be their main objective. I think if you can get the time bank to under, 0 seconds, force overtime, you will have a free attack, and that is where PT wants to make their stand to try to win this.
Here we go, Riptire coming in, holding on to it for just a second. 6 seconds left before it... Oh my gosh, but Lars is able to take it out. They've effectively neutralized Final Gambit after that one huge bomb. A bomb comes in from D.Va, doesn't catch anything, but DCR once again is on the back foot, and now there's gonna be less than a minute now on the clock for them to try and complete.
Such a huge win for PT. They only commit Bob to that fight and completely counter everything DCR was trying to do. You're starting to see multiple hero swaps now from DCR to try to solve some of these fires and put them out before they run out of time. Only 45 seconds, and this window's going to burn even more. You have to hide from this. Hailshin solo, he gets pulled around the corner. Yep, that's more time off the clock here.
Yeah, that is just brutal for DCR. Oh gosh, they've got to wait so long for Hailshon to get back. And now there's less than 30 seconds for them to make something happen.
Even if they win this upcoming engage, it's going to be an overtime force, and now they have to push through all of this damage from PT. They don't even barely make it to the cart.
Yeah, Sixes already takes out Hailshon. Culture finds the D.Va bomb onto Zebra Cookie, and this is a 4v6 now favoring heavily Paradise Tempest as Mornitron. Yeah, without Mornitron there to, keep this damage from coming in onto his team, there's just no hope left. And that's gonna do it. PT takes a convincing 3-0 win over Danger Close Red.
They're sipping on margaritas in the sun, baby. Relaxing in paradise. It seems like a easy breezy 3-0 for them at times. At the beginning of the series, they did kind of struggle to get the ball rolling for themselves. That 100-0 on Ilias was a bit of a head scratcher for me personally. I thought it would be a lot more dominant for PT when I was looking at the matchup for these two teams. And once they get through that little stumbling block at the beginning, it is smooth sailing for PT.
Yeah, it really was. Calm waters all the way for them. Danger Close Red, you gave it a good shot. But yeah, like Amenta, like you've been saying, just the fact that they weren't adjusting quick enough was really the the nail in the coffin, so to speak. Paradise Tempest I think was already coming in, a little bit favored, but um the the fact that that DCR just wasn't able to adjust, that did them in.
Well, fortunately for DCR in the future, I think it's a very simple issue to fix. It's one of those questions you have to constantly be asking yourself as a competitive Overwatch team. Is my strategy currently working? If it's not, maybe we should try changing something. Am I running my head into a brick wall here? And that's exactly what it felt like for DCR. Even in moments of brilliance, I'm remembering that 5K rip tire from DCR in the middle of Streets phase. That's still not enough. Even when you put up, insane performances like that, when your grand strategy is still so misguided and not able to change its direction, a team like PT is going to expose your flaws so quickly.
Yeah, and that they did. I mean, speaking of quickly, a 3-0, right? Like, and the only win that really DCR had was just on that very first round of Ilios. So that was just dominant, and it was on the back of just incredible play, I think, from Lars in particular. Lars really caught my eye today.
Yes. He was the star, in my opinion, for Paradise Tempest, and the rest of PT has to be giving him a pat on the back, especially when he was playing Sombra. I think that was the hero pick that really started to shift momentum firmly in PT's favor at the beginning of the match, and I think we have a little bit of a treat for you guys that are still sticking around. We will have an interview with one of the players from Paradise Tempest coming to you soon.
Yeah, so stick around. We're going to take a short break while we get that set up. Don't go anywhere. And we are back, everybody, with support extraordinaire Caffeinated joining us in the casting booth. She put up a tremendous performance today or actually yesterday for Paradise Tempest, and we're excited to have her in the booth. How are you doing today, Caffeinated?
I'm doing really good. You're too kind.
Well, let's hear. Amintus, you had a question that I think is really good for her to start things off.
Yeah, absolutely. So my question for you first is: you're a relatively new face coming in for PT this match, and I haven't been paying too close attention to a lot of your guys' matches, but for me personally, it was a bit of a new look for me watching you play with this team. And how did it feel to have such a dominant showing in one of your first looks on this team?
So, I mean, first off, it was fantastic. I actually am a coach, so I help with a lot of the strategy and stuff.
Yeah.
So I was a little rusty, so I was nervous with that. But I've watched these players and I've worked with them, so it was so cool to actually be a part of it.
Yeah, I 100% agree as a coach myself. I really do love playing the game with my players and really getting into their brains, and just playing alongside them is so much fun. So yeah.
Now, I wanted to know, were you worried at all coming into this match against DCR, considering they have such a strong record as well, and especially considering the trouble that you all had against the Crusaders a couple of weeks ago? Were you at all worried, or were you pretty confident coming in?
Well, we definitely did a lot of practice. I will say that they completely and utterly surprised us. So we were a little worried, but luckily, especially my support duo, Ira, was able to definitely help, at least me personally. I'm not much of a break player, but she came in, we were able to stop that dive. But we were usually a bit cocky, and so we had a lot of practice, and so we weren't worried up front. We got a little worried in the middle, but we came through. We're awesome.
So I'll pivot from my next question because I had no idea about the fact that you were a coach. But for my next question, I'm going to ask, was there any particularly prepared strategies that you had coming into this match that, you otherwise would not have been able to execute since you are the coach of the team, right? Like, I kind of feel when a coach is playing the game, you have a little bit of a different perspective as 6 players. You kind of have, the brains of the team operating with you guys. So was that, did you have any unique strategies that you guys pulled out?
I would say we had some strategies that we were planning to pull out, but they actually, like I said, they ended up playing a bit differently than they thought we did. So we kind of took the strategies and threw them out the window, and actually kind of, but in a way that worked because that meant we got to play a bit more of our also comfort picks.
Right.
So getting Azakari back on that monkey and getting Culture on that ball, just so. So it ended up kind of working out, and so we didn't have to do anything super weird, but it was weird practicing something different than having to play something.
Yeah.
Yeah, that certainly could throw you off. Now, before we wrap things up here, I just wanted to know if you had anybody in particular that you wanted to shout out on your team. Normally I would ask coaches, but you know what? Whatever. I'm going to ask coaches again. If you want to call yourself out, go for it. But any shout outs you wanted to give?
Yeah, I'll shout out to myself. No, like a lot of no. I mean, honestly, I shout out to the team themselves. They definitely made me feel welcome. They themselves, again, I know that they've answered questions where they work really hard, like 5 days a week. They put everything into it, and they come to practice and they work hard. And of course, Sussing, the head coach, does everything.
Right.
Does his best. So I love the players, and they helped me and I helped them, and it was great. So shout out to the team. They're amazing. Thank you guys for all your hard work.
Well, thank you so much for all your hard work too as a coach and in the game last night. It was a true pleasure to watch and to get to cast. And any last words before we close things out, Amintus, for the people at home?
Absolutely. I love my closing statements. Dominant performance today from PT. It was, like I said, the statement game that they really needed to show people that, yes, DCR had an easy record. And coming into this match, they proved why. Like, they showed that they just objectively across every single composition in the book, it felt like we're just the better team. And hopefully they can sort of carry the momentum from this match into a final week in this stage of victory that can push them into playoffs and let them make a really deep run. I think this team has some hidden firepower that not a lot of people will expect coming. And hopefully they can get into playoffs to show everybody what they're truly about.
That is true. And that's going to do it for us here in Owlet tonight. But be sure to tune in again tomorrow because there is going to be more matches to see. I believe we've actually got 2 happening tomorrow. I'm not sure if we've got casters and production set up for both of them, but we will be bringing you something, hopefully a couple of matches. Once again, my name is Warren Juggle God Hammond. I've been joined again by Amintus Major. Thank you so much, Silent Marine in production, and the rest of the Owlet staff. Thank you all, and good night.
Adios.